What's up, everybody? Will the Greatest here, and I believe with it being long past Black History Month, I think I'm well overdue to revive an old series that went on hiatus because I had an idea for how I wanted to do it. Then I did the American Pie videos, so now I have a better idea of how I want to handle these whole movie discussion things. It went on hiatus, then it was a podcast that never became a podcast, so don't bet on it being a podcast. So I feel a little bit more comfortable getting back into these reviews. So let's keep the ball rolling with the Modern Black 51 with movie number 5 on the list. 2 can play that game. The movie is written and directed by Mike Brown, who you may also know as the writer for Barbershop, which we will get to later, How to Be a Player, and The Salon. A lot of hair-centered movies with this guy. He also directed The Salon, Sharon, 1, 2, 3, and the upcoming Wealthy and Wise. I don't know what that's about. The movie has an all-star cast of black talent, including Vivica A. Stone Cold Fox, Morris Chestnut, young, thick Anthony Anderson, Monique, Bobby Brown, and who can forget my queen, my Khaleesi, Gabrielle Union.
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
Funny enough, this movie is actually the reason I fell madly in love with the actress simply from her own opening scene. What makes it sad, however, is that I swore for years that the scene was from Deliver Us from Eva. It was not! But we'll get to it. So, with the primary intro out of the way, let's get into the recap and review. Our movie opens up with some funky bass plucking and a little one-sided dialogue from our lead character, Shantae Smith, played by the beautiful and talented Vivica A. Fox. Also, maybe I'm late, but has she always had that tattoo? Upon further research, it appeared that she has multiple tattoos. So I'm just an idiot. Shantae is addressing the audience regarding the relationship troubles of her friend Tracy, while waxing about what we in the future would describe as the tail end of cuffing season. From there, we get to see her strut through her office, including an unneeded but very much appreciated ass shot, followed by a title card. Some things changed, some things stay the same. So, after some scenes of Shantae driving and exterior shots of the city, we see her fucking huge house as we finally get a formal introduction.
Like my house? Not bad for a girl from Compton, huh? By the way, I'm Shantae Smith, Senior Advertising Executive at Parker & Long. And if you haven't noticed, I'm a sister. An educated, strong sister who remembers where she came from and knows where she's going.
I would like one, please and thank you. But Shantae posits a question to the viewer, a question that continues to rack the minds of women everywhere.
But let me ask you a question. Why can't men act right? Don't they know that if they acted right, women would gladly give them all the love and respect that they needed? But because they show their asses, we got to check them.
I don't know. Horniness? Misogyny? Poor empathy skills? I don't have the answer, because shit, I ain't got those problems. Anyways, we now meet Karen, played by Wendy Raquel Robinson, one of only 2 black Karens I have ever seen, and Shantae's friend who is staying with her while she's going through her own sort of relationship woes.
Michael used to give me chrysanthemums. I miss him. No, come here. Come here. Oh, this really saddens me. Karen's a top executive at a big engineering firm. Michael! I love you.
Okay. If anything, you should at least watch the movie just for Vivica's facial acting. This frame alone is worthy of the MoMA. Also, can we talk about how kind of crazy it is to hear about a black woman being a top exec at an engineering firm? I don't know, it's cool to me. I think it's neat. So, we get a little bit more of Karen's backstory. Karen gets her car fixed by Bobby Brown post-crack, invests some time and energy to turn him into Bobby Brown pre-crack. He proposes to her, realizes, oh shit, I look like Bobby Brown in the fucking 90s. And once he realizes he bagged a baddie, he starts to kind of settle a little bit in his behavior. And so Shantae, trying to be a good friend and knowing what happened, says to dump him outright. Now, although it isn't fully addressed, I do think there is an implication to be had about how some people settle in relationships once they get comfortable and stop investing as much energy to show their significant other that they still care about them. So when Karen's crying, she's also reminiscing about the type of person that he used to be to her, not how he was in Split.
The best way to a man's heart is through his stomach and his sports. Girl, a man is like a stray dog. You feed a stray dog one day, and if he comes back the next, you got him hooked. Plus, everybody knows a man's loving is always better on a full stomach.
Ah, yes, Pavlov's theory of how to pull niggas. I recall that in my theoretical classes. I hear a similar effect happens when you play Back That Ass Up in a club. So, Shantae follows up breaking down the problem with her friend Tracy, played by Tamala Jones, and her cheating man who tries to use the "I'm just looking" excuse, which, my man, it's not just that you're looking at women, bro. You're looking directly at them while she's next to you. Alexa, play Down Bad. Next, we meet Deirdre, played by... Wait, is she playing Down Bad? Forgot my Amazon still works. Hold on, I'll just let this play for a minute. Alexa, stop song. Next, we meet Deirdre, played by the legendary queen of comedy, Monique.
2 words describe Deidre. Ghetto, fabulous.
Sometimes I miss these dated tropes. It was a simpler time for movie making. Her problem is that her man is both broke and unemployed, constantly asking her for money. And so, after 10 minutes of build-up, we get to meet who the other person is on the DVD box art. Keith Fenton, played by young Morris Chestnut. What ensues is a sex scene between the two rich, successful black intellectuals in his office space, set to Missy Elliott's Sock It To Me. This movie is a gift. Shantae gives us the backstory to how she met Keith, which, in a time before a pandemic, really makes me miss not approaching women in a nightclub. Keith got her attention simply by being Morris Chestnut in 2001. And honestly, I'd love to show y'all the whole sequence, but what I love about it is that, one, his cold approach to her could really only work for a select few number of guys. Like, this is some Fresh Prince of Bel-Air ass dialogue. But two, the actors seem to just really be having a lot of fun with it. There's a playful chemistry between Keith and Shantae that is really reflective of the actor's skill to not only play off of each other, but also off of their castmates around them. It's just really engaging to watch. We catch up in the present and we meet Keith's friend and co-worker Tony, played by 2001 Anthony Anderson. Not this new blackish Anthony Anderson. Y'all don't remember the days of Baby Daddy or Scary Movie 4 where he fucked Kevin Hart in a tent. I remember. Anyways, Tony comes in. Actually, fuck that. The most important scene of the movie is here. The introduction of Connie, that bitch Spaulding, played by the OG, the GU, the woman that makes my hair product. That is not a joke. I love Flawless. Ladies, gentlemen, and the rest of y'all. Gabrielle, Gabby the Baddie, Union.
Drive business round the city on buttons. Arm hanging, wrist blinging, just stunting it. Drop the top, block is hot, stay bumping you. Be your entrance, get it right, don't tangle and twist it. Hit the club every night, drunk, drinking that crystal. Mad don't like it cause I'm banging it. When the light hit the
Connie Spaulding.
I could cut the review right there. I could end it all. Roll the end card, be done, because this has to be one of the most infamous sequences I would say has been ever put to an on-screen villain. Which, like, side note, Connie is,
Vice President of Marketing and a bona fide hoe.
Man, who says a hoe can't be a corporate executive? Nobody says that. Exactly. Let me stop thirsting over Gabrielle Union and focus on this fucking plot. So Shantae, understandably, not a fan of Connie because, as she explains here...
Okay, every girl's got a little bit of hoe in them, but Connie, she's a different kind of hoe. She's a lay on her back, do whatever it takes to get your man kind of hoe.
I think with this comment, there does introduce an interesting conversation about the differences between a hoe, a whore, and a slut. Terms that are often used interchangeably to describe a person, in this case, a woman, who is rather promiscuous. Within the context of the movie, a hoe is some woman usually, who takes joy in sexual pleasure, but Connie weaponizes her sex in order to not only benefit from it financially, but also to destroy relationships and manipulate men. So, for the movie, let's say someone promiscuous is a whore, a la horrible decisions. Someone who weaponizes their sexuality for personal gain with disregard for the consequences it could have on others is a hoe, and someone who is promiscuous with no self respect or decency is a slut. So, with these definitions, what does that make Connie? By my definitions, based off of what the movie says, it makes her one slutty ass hoe. And frankly, I'm with the shits. I'm with the shits, Connie. Fuck my life up, Connie Spaulding. Now, where was I? Right. Shantae is describing her trust for Keith, acknowledging that she trusts him enough to understand and respect the relationship for him to stay on the straight and narrow around fine ass Connie Spaulding. From there, we see his immense accolades before catching up with Tracy and her man, Dwayne.
It's spring, so she's probably fighting with her man.
Who you messing with, Dwayne? I'm not gonna get mad. I'm not gonna yell. Just tell me who you messing with, cause I know you messing with somebody. So who's the bitch that you messing with?
What are you talking about, girl? You tripping? I ain't messing with nobody but you.
Come on, son. Like you ain't looking at someone earlier in the fucking movie, bro. Also, fucking hilarious that by saying it's spring, like this is a seasonal thing. So Dwayne gets exposed as someone else's draws are found by Tracy, but Shantae breaks down the truth of the matter.
Okay, girls, if you're not sure your man is cheating on you, this is what you do. Plant some underwear over his house. Make sure that they're too big or too small so it's clear that they're not yours. Then pull them out in front of him and wait and see what his ass has to say.
Now, there's definitely a conversation to be had about the unfortunate trust issues that a lot of people have with their significant others in relationships, and how this is a kind of underhanded tactic that further shows that while Dwayne may not be a good or even great partner, Tracy may also have some sort of maybe codependency issues. But rather than do that, I'm watching Vivica walk away in this fine-ass yellow pantsuit. Dwayne lies like a motherfucker. Tracy snaps. Niggas nig.
Oh, dang, that laugh. Lord. Why must Mexican and black people cause so much ruckus in the white man's apartment building? Now, I hate that I had to say that, but you do have to admit, minorities do seem to get a tad bit louder than white folks.
All right, now I won't agree with her, but it is admirable for a movie to lean into a stereotype, but also have the lead character acknowledge that it isn't wrong, but it is an interesting observation from their perspective. Some minor domestic violence follows, and if I stop for every piece of social commentary Shanta has to offer, we'll be here all day. But she does give some good advice to fellows about how to handle hard conversations with women. Following this, she describes the signs of a cheating man, which one of the things I really enjoy about this movie is its approach to treating the viewer. Not just treating the viewer as a viewer, but like one of Shantae's girlfriends. It's a weird intersection of breaking the fourth wall and the omniscient storytelling method coming together, which I think is just overall really effective. The proto-girlfriends are having a wine night to talk about their life and their own relationships. We get a fun and funky dance break to Mr. Big Stuff by Gene Knight, and wow, I don't miss the 90s dance moves that we used to do. God damn. Although I would not be opposed to TikTokers trying a Mr. Big Stuff challenge. Maybe I am. I don't know. I don't know if that's a good idea. Keith unfortunately cancels his plans with Shantae because he's working late. And since this is one of her signs of a cheating man, she naturally grows suspicious. As self-care, the girls go out to dinner, and oopsie fuck, looks like Keith is not working late, but is out on the dance floor with an apparent hybrid... at what the... They're at a hybrid restaurant disco? What? Okay.
Rule number 1, never panic. Stay cool. Act like it doesn't bother you one bit. And address the issue head on.
Shantae is such a good character because even though she's kind of using psychological tactics to work people, she's incredibly level-headed and aware enough of those she's with to know how they'll probably respond to her behaviors. She's really in tune with the people around her. Damn, I love this movie. Then we get Keith's perspective on things, with him assuring his own best friend, Tony, that nothing salacious was going on. But Tony reminds him that the optics of the situation still looks bad, even if him and his girlfriend have trust.
I'm a tad bit confused. And maybe you can help me understand a few things. You took this 26-year-old, supple-breasted, tight-assed, skin so smooth it looked like buttermilk. You took that to a secluded restaurant and danced with that. And then when you got caught by Shantae, you acted guilty. Why? Because you wanted to hit it.
No, okay. All right. Maybe a little bit I lusted for her, right? Is she fine?
Good. Now we're getting somewhere. See, Keith? You're guilty, dog. Guilty of lust. All right?
Okay.
And secretly, you wanted to hit it.
Tony makes a strong argument here overall. It doesn't matter if Keith didn't want to hit it. To everyone else, it looks like he did. And had he told Shantae, hey, I finished work, my coworker wanted to come to the spot you like, maybe you could meet us there, I don't think Keith did anything wrong for not being absent-minded. I think a lot of people in relationships do this, not just men, but it sucks because men, that one little thing turns to a whole other problem in your relationship. Damn, I don't know if I'm recapping the movie or Malcolm and Marie at this point. Fuck. So, with the pieces in place, the titular game begins. The 10-day program, a mischievous tool of her own design to make Keith reconsider his appreciation and efforts for his relationship. What's also interesting is that although she intends to follow this plan, you can tell it is also emotionally taxing for someone you have a strong relationship with. It's supposed to be high risk, high reward in nature. Keith manages to get a brief conversation to set up dinner plans, and it's interesting to see the mental chess match that brews between Camp Shantae and Camp Keith, with one controlling the game and the other knowing they're in the game, but not what the next move is. Now, what's interesting is when we get to the dinner sequence, Keith asks Tony for advice, and they agree that he should simply own up to it, explain the situation, admit he was wrong, keep the good vibes going. Then Shantae delivers this line.
Yeah, sure.
No matter what his ass says, it doesn't make a difference, because he should have known better. But now that he's put his cards on the table and offered some form of an explanation, you've got to step to the plate, girl. Be a woman. Do the right thing. Gut punch that ass.
She decides to continue to fuck with him. Now, I may be reaching a little, but this exact moment, I believe, is what makes Shantae a bad person. But a great character. Because up to this point, Keith has evidently been a responsible, faithful, caring, engaging, emotionally available boyfriend. But due to him being absent-minded, Shantae decides to mentally torture him in order for him to almost trauma bond himself back into her arms. Amy Dunn who? Shantae Smith is a top-tier female villain. So, she breaks up with Keith, who freaks and goes to discuss with Tony, who elaborates on how deep the mind games really go. Shantae tells the audience then to determine for themselves in this situation if they even want their man back before saying,
Cardinal rule number 2. When your man messes up, no matter how small it is, you got to punish him. Punish him hard. Day 2.
This logic is toxic as fuck, but still immensely entertaining. So the girls are helping Deirdre shop for a new dress in a scene that really highlights that we gotta make sure we give Monique her flowers before she's gone, because she's really damn funny. So it seems like Shantae is doing wonderfully, and Keith is down tremendous, which I understand. One fuck up, and he lost early 2000s Vivica A. Fox. Be fighting there like Ashley if I lost her too. Those kids that haven't seen that movie, I don't think are going to understand that reference.
It's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. Not my mother, not my father, but it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. Not my sister, not my brother, but it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer.
Were they off beat for a second? I don't know, maybe my ears are playing a trick on me. Moving on, Keith is trying to get his mind off of Shantae and failing immensely. Shantae points out the gossiping nature of men, which, as a member of the Faithful Black Men Association, I can neither confirm nor deny. That said, the scene of them gossiping over golf was overall just funny as hell, and also kind of introduced the spin on the idea of where attractive women go, men follow, from the wild zoo of the clubs to the sanctity of the church. And I think he's right. There's probably a conversation somewhere about men being led to religion through women, but that's not what this show is about, so we're just going to keep on going. All right, we get to day 4.
Notice anything different? Moi. I'm 28 years old, a sister, and still made partner.
That's really fucking impressive for anyone at 28, let alone a black woman in the early 2000s, and I'm not going to stop bringing it up, because it's fucking cool.
Please cut that damn music! Day 5 is a bad day.
Shantae isn't taking it too well, so skip to day 6. Damn, this movie has a good sense of humor. And also, self-awareness. Shantae recommends the alleged female viewer revisit the archaic Little Black Book, and maybe invest in delivery. If you catch my drift. So, amongst the various techniques of psychological warfare, Keith is living out all my dreams and fantasies.
What's up, dog? She's always, trying to rape me and shit on the dance floor, bro.
You say that like that's a bad thing.
But if she tried to rape me, I would not fight back.
Keith and Tony go back and forth about Keith's very obvious discomfort being around Connie, which kind of brings in another pressure that even though he can understand someone is sexually attractive, he still clearly has feelings for Shantae. I think it's good that Keith is able to kind of acknowledge that, but a shame that Tony pushes back on it, kind of like how Connie was pushing back on Keith. What I like about the fact that you can tell a man clearly wrote this is they don't talk like 2021 men do, and what I mean is kind of that lack of dancing around certain bits of language and just kind of being more open with how some men communicate. Very much exposes where the roots of a lot of today's issues stem from in terms of how we value our connection with women and even how we navigate relationships as a result. This was the generation telling us how to interact with one another. These are the movies we were watching as kids. This is kind of why we're fucked up now. And it very much shows its age. So, while Keith is trying with the willpower of a Greek god not to fuck Connie, we see things aren't as exciting for the dates of Shantae. We get into day 7 as she actually starts off pretty well with these self-care recommendations, until she proceeds to take advantage of Keith's emotional vulnerability and physical attraction to her. That way, she ends up gaslighting the poor motherfucker by being so damn flippant and inconsistent with her behaviors. Day 8. Now, there's a lot between the conversations of planning between both the male and female sides. Tony derides Keith for letting Shantae do to him kind of what he did to her to a different extent. The girls talk amongst themselves about how to manipulate a man's horniness for personal gain in their relationship. There's another conversation in that about the sex worker industry, but fucking go to horrible decisions. I'm not ready to unpack all of the potential for that. Tony ends up giving a true single nigga advice strategy and trying to push Keith to moving more like he is a single man, which technically he sort of kind of is. Which I think in this moment, Tony is kind of well-intentioned on the one hand. He should support his friend through the difficult emotional period in his life. But on the other hand, he doesn't want to see him stuck on one woman and come back into his manhood and into his independence and character. His sense of emotional certainty, confidence, and a part of that, desirability. That's what he wants Keith to get back to.
Stop pining over this woman, man. Show her who's the man in this relationship. Show her who's wearing the big draws.
You know what? You're right about that, man.
Damn right.
'Cause, I've been pining over this girl for way too long now.
Oh, way too long.
I need to get back to being the player that I used to be.
Play on, pop your collar.
I need to break out with some of my old Mac moves and show her who she's dealing with.
Don't hurt him.
It's time for me to show her who's wearing the big draw.
Oh, suck it now.
What follows is the corporate extravaganza, a battleground for the hearts and minds, an intersection of business and personal lifestyles.
Phil Parker, nice seeing you again.
How are you?
Hi, Shantae.
Please tell Jim that I want to send my congratulations on this successful event.
Will do.
You can cut the tension with a goddamn saw, it's that thick. And the avoidant look in Keith's eyes is that of a man who knows exactly what he's doing. What follows is Shantae approaching Keith about his behavior and him peacocking about with his new trophy Connie by his arm, while also flat out telling Shantae he's just tired of her games.
I'm not playing these games. I'm not playing these games.
And that he's a good man, which is true, and that he knows his worth. In my opinion, so far in the movie, Keith hasn't really done anything wrong. Even the moments where he fucked up, he owned up to it. So, Shantae decides to confront Connie.
What are you doing?
What do you mean, what am I doing?
Connie, what are you doing here with Keith? You know he's my man. Oh,
Well, if he's your man, he's certainly not acting like it.
well, perhaps he would be if he didn't have a little hooch like you running behind him all the time.
And there it is, the root of my problems today. Fine ass, toxic ass, confrontational ass women. I blame you, movie.
You built me.
I don't appreciate your tone, and why are you calling me names? I mean, come on, Shantae, it's a little junior high, don't you think? Keith is here with me because he wants to be here with me. I didn't force him, I'm not twisting his arm. It's his decision, so don't take your frustrations out on me if you can't control your man. Okay?
You've set the bar for the level of bad bitch I will require out of my future spouse, which I'm now taking applications for. Shantae makes a good point about not taking the emotional vengeance out on a woman who is more so the means to an end. But to be candid and clear with the man about your problems with him, and
There's nothing worse than two women fighting over a man. Not ladylike. But you know what? I like this bitch.
back in reality, after a pretty good rewind effect, Shantae concocts how to proceed with Keith, and Tony starts throwing down with some of the marketing girls. She decides to fight fire with fire and try the damsel in distress technique with some oblivious pseudo Henry Cavill looking white man. Keith and Shantae start to trade psychological blows at the expense of their dates, which is rather shitty, but again, the means to an end. They finally confront each other again in private and bring up the source of all issues before deciding that, fine, fuck it. If you don't want to stop, I'm going to have sex with another person. Rather than just being adults and talking things out, let's drag a fight out over the course of a week until it boils over and other people are potentially having their feelings involved. Shantae decides to, in a way, fuck around and find out, waiting to see if Keith would choose her or Connie. Arriving home expecting him to fall back into her arms of embrace, but to find nothing but cold air and disappointment. The movie prepares to close out on what I suppose is supposed to be the moral of the story.
Maybe you're right. You know, but I just thought that you followed certain rules when a brother messes up to get him to come back. But I guess I didn't consider that when it comes to love, there are no rules.
She sees Keith alone while at her favorite spot and dramatically tries to use the technique he used on her back at him, with him closing on the two, dancing and sharing a kiss under the solo spotlight. And what happened to them? Well, Shantae and Keith would split, with Shantae helping her sister Cookie after a 14-year stint in prison as she has become a single mother, and help her sister Carol stay off drugs. Keith and Connie would rekindle their relationship much later, with her going under the name Mary Jane Paul as she transitioned from the world of business to journalism, with her ultimately choosing to leave him for some light-skinned nigga. Oh wait, no, I just combined the plots of two interesting black series that have really, really garbage series finales. So let's talk about the movie. Two Can Play That Game is exactly what it says on the box. It's two people trying to one-up each other in unhealthy manners because they refuse to either accept fault or, in this case, the apology, and communicate their needs within a relationship. Is it dated? Maybe a little, but it overall holds up surprisingly well in my opinion. A lot of the issues introduced in the movie are still alive and well today, and maybe even more so amplified in the social media era. Conversations about relationship insecurity, the reliance of advice from your friends, manipulation and gaslighting, trying to force rules rather than engaging in understanding, and even basic forgiveness and growth from your partner are all really interesting aspects of the movie. All the while, the characters are engaging, overall well performed, likable, and distinct. Also, I really like the narrative method of exposition from the perspective of Shantae. I think the film maybe could have benefited from offering some of the same fourth wall speaking to Keith as well, but given most of his actions were reactions, there may not have been much need for it. Also, maybe the other characters could have been a little bit more fleshed out, a little bit more understanding to like Connie and her mindset, or some of the other girlfriends, and maybe gotten some resolution for them because they didn't really get any by the end, but oh well. The cinematography, outside of a few scenes, is nothing to write home about, but the movie soundtrack is licensed out the ass and has me very worried about copyright strikes on this video. But the songs also still feel pretty appropriate for the time and the location. This probably is the first time I've really seen self-aware pacing in this specific manner as it goes day by day by day, at least in a while, as it spread out over 9 days, and we end up seeing the culmination of events over each day. So it's kind of dicey paced, which is an interesting way to tell a story. Also, God, this cast is, like I said, absolutely fucking stacked. Holy shit. Fucking black royalty all around. We got Morris Chestnut, Vivica A. Fox, Anthony Anderson, Gabrielle Union, Monique, Bobby Brown, and hell, Ray Wise? From Twin Peaks? Is Shantae's boss? Okay. Sure, just grab whoever we could. It was like 2001. No one gives a fuck. Like I said, everyone sells the movie and are clearly having fun, as evidenced by the bloopers that they air in the credits. Which, can we bring back bloopers? I miss bloopers. Do they still do that for movies? I would love to watch a movie that's just like 80% fuck ups. As much as I extrapolated different points from the movie's very, very simple premise and even condemned the extremely toxic behavior from Shantae, and to a much lesser extent Keith, I still think it's a highly entertaining movie. It's not going to win any awards, but I think it's fun and funny as far as early 2000s black rom-coms go, with one of the greatest character intros of all time from Connie Spaulding, and a very entertaining, fast-paced narrative. I say check it out if, you want something to watch for date night. It may lead to some interesting conversations afterwards. Just make sure they don't see a lot of themselves in Shantae, and I feel like you'll avoid a lot of future problems. With that said, thank you for watching the video, and let me know your thoughts down in the comments below about my review and my commentary and the movie. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel and hit that bell to be notified when I actually finish scripts and upload new videos when I plan to. Also, make sure you follow my podcast, The Ace Podcast, where we talk all things art, culture, and entertainment. That's The Ace Podcast in the link below, where I talk more pop culture topics. I'm Will the Greatest. Be great to one another, and I'll see you in the next one.